Today we are in Porto, Portugal.
We are welcoming 15 trans sex worker activists this week and then 15 male sex worker activists next week to organize training and build the capacities of sex workers to advocate for better access to healthcare and in particular in relation to HIV.
We are trying to, contribute the change of the world with a room full of horrors. And the change will come with the horrors, you guys, you should remember that.
Nós estamos aprendendo sobre as novas maneiras de prevenção, como a PrEP, sobre maneiras de transmissão do vírus.
Finding a solution together so we can actually have a better work life, but also outside of the work that we can have a better access to the medical professions and preventions.
La razón por qué estoy aquí es por mi expectativa es fortalecer mi conocimiento sobre la PrEP y compartirla con la comunidad trans en el relevo generacional de Europa, Asia, Centroamérica, Latinoamérica e o Caribe.
Conheci muitas pessoas novas e isso é muito importante para criar uma rede de contato e suporte para a nossa comunidade.
We are together to discuss about our issues, about our desires, about our experiences.
It feels good to know that you're not the only one going through some experiences.
So HIV is still a very important topic for our communities and in particular for the most marginalized sex workers who face many issues related to access to PrEP, for example, access to HIV treatment in many countries, but also many issues related to violence, stigma and discrimination. And we're hoping to really send a strong message that trans sex workers, male sex workers, LGBT sex workers are a very important part of the LGBT community and of the sex worker rights movement as well. It is trans sex workers who led the LGBT rights movement with the Stonewall riots, for example. And it is also LGBT sex workers who are facing some of the most important forms of discrimination in society still today.
And what we are doing actually here is to educate ourselves about HIV and other STIs that have the possibility to affect our world in a bad way. But we are not just accepting that reality, and we are, making some efforts in order to change that reality.
I've got to say, it's the first time that I've been at an event which is really specifically focused on male sex workers of this sort of scale. And it's exciting to see people come from a lot of different countries and share their experiences.
France, now we have the law at criminalized clients, so many people now work at the border in different countries. You have to protect your client to be able to work, which means also a loss of bargaining power, which means that you can't negotiate about condom use like you used to. So, criminalization has a direct impact on people's power to impose prevention tools. So, for example, in my situation, I have to start a PrEP treatment.
What we are seeing is that there is a huge push to criminalize prostitution, to criminalize clients of sex workers across Europe, from Sweden to Norway to France. And we know this had terrible impact on the lives of sex workers, and in particular migrant trans sex workers. We know there's been an increase of violence, there's been an increase of HIV among the community, and this is very important to understand and to stop this.
So what we're doing actually here is sort of my dream that comes true. I wanted to have a space where trans people, trans sex workers could talk about HIV, could be educated about HIV prevention, so that in their own countries they can provide services, start services, know how to find funding for services, to start it themselves, and to be part of the inclusion of peer-led initiatives to the access to healthcare.
Currently, there is a huge call to decriminalize sex work. Amnesty International, the World Health Organization, UNAIDS, ILGA Europe, the European LGBT Network, and many other human rights organizations are calling for the full decriminalization of sex work.
The criminalization of sex work doesn't mean that everything goes, and that decriminalization can also help to tackle a little bit more the situations of trafficking of human beings.
We know that by decriminalizing sex work, we will empower sex workers to access health, to access justice, and to combat violence. Decriminalization of sex work doesn't mean that there will no more be violence or stigma, of course. This is a long-term process, but it's the first step in addressing some of the key issues that LGBTQ sex workers face at the moment.
Because it's not only the criminalization what we want. The criminalization, it's only the first step in the fight for the achievement of broader labor rights. In fact, we are delayed more than 100 years in the fight of the labor rights, and this time it's about time that the things have to change.
LGBTQ sex workers are a big part of our community. We need to be welcomed, we need to be embraced, we need to be respected, and our needs to be centered into our movement.